And I've already got mine on.
Yeah,
it's a pullover.
Yeah, I should have just like buttoned this one up already. Now I'm just
It's fine. Take your time.
like I'm attention seeking.
You have my attention.
Okay. Welcome back to the Booth Customs channel. It's me, John Mark Booth, with my buddy Austin, aka the Green Prepper. And today we're talking about red dots with magnifiers.
That's right. So a little bit of an upgrade from last week's system. Instead of just having a red dot, throw a magnifier on there. This one is a flip to side. They also make flip to centers if you like to have your optic up in the stratosphere. But yeah, essentially this.
Here
just
it
so
is.
you can reach out a little bit further.
Yeah. Give you this one. What's the magnification on that one?
This is a 3x. This is the Vortex Micro.
Okay. Now, I think 3x is pretty standard on most magnifiers.
And there's a good reason for that. Unless you're dealing with a holographic red dot or a holographic sight, you're zooming in on a reticle that may or may not be perfect.
Right.
And more often than not, they're not perfect.
Yeah.
So if you're magnifying something that is a little bit more budget or maybe isn't quite as well made, maybe like a Holosun 510 or 512, Sig Romeo 5, just the regular 5 or a Sig Romeo 4, the likelihood of you seeing some blemish in your red dot is a lot higher,
Yeah.
if you have a 4, 5, or 6 magnification.
Yeah, because I think it's, you don't think about that much, but you're not just magnifying your target, you're magnifying your red dot, anything in between.
Right.
So
you're zooming in on the whole thing.
the whole shooting match,
Right.
as it were.
Yeah. Which, if you have a holographic sight, no big deal.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, a lot of people talk about how with a EOTech, when you throw a magnifier on, it gets clearer.
Right.
Instead of the normal fuzziness that you have with the EOTech.
Yeah, and I mean, that was, EOTech is like one of the first, like with a magnifier, is one of the first setups that became really popular, just because it was so like crystal. Like,
Right.
I mean, it worked well. There's no issues whatsoever, and it's battle proven, which is something we like to throw around out here.
Right. But it is very battle proof.
Yes. And it's, it's similar purpose to the red dot. Like, it's going to be faster target acquisition, but it enables you to transition too between like near and further targets with just a quick, flip over of the magnifier.
Right.
Like, you can get a much clearer image and see exactly where you're putting that dot to put your bullet.
Well, and if you're in Minecraft, clearing rooms,
In Minecraft.
in Minecraft, it's real easy to get your dot. You can see what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gay TF, for me having to have this naked. But, that can stay in the video.
Yeah, that I can say.
But if you need to reach out and touch Steve in Minecraft, flip over, and there you go. I mean, we're talking, this is a 3 times magnifier is enough to easily get you out to 600 meters without breaking a sweat.
Yeah.
Your target identification might struggle a little bit. I feel like at 600 meters, you probably want a 6 power.
Right.
But if you know what you're engaging, if you know where your target is, a 3X will get you past 400 meters without breaking a sweat.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think like the general rule of thumb is like you want 1 power of magnification per like 100 yards / meters or whatever. But with, training, practice, and diligence of use, then you can reach beyond that.
Right.
Pretty easily, especially with a magnifier like that and a good red dot on the front or holographic sight. So I think it's a good thing. And then, the ability to transition from, say, like clearing rooms in Minecraft to being in the open field in Minecraft is pretty valuable.
Exactly.
And it can also come in handy like in competitions and stuff, because sometimes there'll be like a stage where you're engaging targets close, and then they'll have the last target and it's like 400 yards out, and you gotta like you're sitting here 25 yards, 50 yards closer even than that, and then you get over there and you're like, oh shoot, 600, and you got to be like, pah, hold over.
Yep. Figure out where it hits in the dirt and then move accordingly.
Exactly. So,
and at least with this, it's not going to range for you, but
right,
you're not going to be struggling as much as you would be with the naked eye.
Right, for sure. And I mean, this we'll hear us stress time and again on this channel, like time behind the gun, knowing what your gun can and will do and what it can't do is almost as probably as important or more important than knowing what it can do.
Right.
Will like give you the ability to like utilize your setup to its maximum potential.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I think if I were to have a red dot like solely on like kind of your setup, I mean, having a magnifier behind it is like a must, in my opinion.
Right, because if you're building a go to war, do it all rifle, you maybe you want to go the LPVO route for a 5.56,
which is valid.
It has a very specific use once you throw an LPVO on, which we'll get into next week. But with a red dot and a magnifier, you kind of split. You get best of both worlds.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, if you need to clear your house for a bump in the night, you're good to go. And if you go to the range and you want to shoot some 300, 400, 500, 600 meter targets with your buddies, you're still good to go.
Yeah.
And you'll be at least able to see your target.
At least. Right.
So, yeah. No, I think, in my opinion, this is probably the most useful magnified option that you have for ARs. For the AR-15, not the AR-10. Once you get AR-10, that's a whole nother animal.
Different ballgame.
AR-15, my personal opinion, this is the best option.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a good setup. You have like the ability to engage closely, because I mean, if you're like engaging close and it's magnified, you're going to have issues.
Right.
If you're engaging far out and it's not magnified, you're going to have issues. So, like, bridging the gap, having that ability to, like, flip back and forth from your magnifier is going to be very valuable
for sure
to you.
For sure. And, I mean, you've got Holosun, Primary Arms, Vortex, EOTech. Those are the ones that just initially come to mind.
Yeah. And
who all make magnifiers.
Primary Arms is really, I think, kind of like the dark horse right now of optics, because they're not terribly expensive, but they work really well. I've had a few different people like put Primary Arms optics of different sorts on their ARs, and the glass is clear, the reticle is superb. The couple of red dots I've seen have been like excellent.
Yeah.
And they're budget friendly.
Right.
So
they're filling the gap that Holosun used to have.
Yeah, for sure.
Because as Holosun has kind of moved up in quality and price.
Right. It happens.
It happens. Primary Arms is kind of filling that vacuum.
Yeah.
And doing so really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of impressed, if not surprised, by how well they have done with their offerings.
It's pretty incredible. And you can save a lot of money.
A
lot of money.
Yeah. And
you just have to get over the chevron.
The chevron.
They love that ACSS.
Yeah,
I think it is. And I mean, it's a good reticle. There's nothing wrong with using a chevron.
Right.
But it takes a little bit getting used to.
Not as versatile or easy to use as some other reticles,
Right.
but yeah, it's good. I mean, they sell setups that are purpose built for this kind of thing, and it's easy to access. So I think that's a good place to start if you're going to be doing red dots with a magnifier. And then, or if you got the money to spend on it, then sure, go ahead and do, Holosun or EOTech or whatever, Trijicon.
Right.
But,
and I know that one thing to kind of take into consideration with your flip to side magnifiers is how solid they feel. Because I've heard a lot of people talk about how the Vortex and the EOTech is rock solid. You flip that over, you flip it back, there's no wiggle to it at all.
It's like there.
It is, right, it is there until you don't want it to be. Whereas the primary arms and there's another flip to side that I'm drawing a blank on. But the mounting system isn't quite as solid. So when you actually, you know what, it might be the Holosun. Maybe it is the Holosun, where you flip to side and it has just the tiniest bit of wiggle.
A little bit of give to it.
For those two, I've heard that it's more once you flip to the side that you have a little wiggle, but when you flip to center, it's rock solid. Which of the two?
Yeah,
I'd rather that.
Yeah, if you're gonna have wiggle, you want it on the side,
right?
Not
right
in use.
So at least you've got that going for you.
Yeah.
For both of those, but also I think they mostly use the same mounting system. So just change your mounting system, and you're good to go. But then something to take into consideration as well is your dot clarity.
Right.
How clear is your red dot?
Yeah, because Laz was talking about that whenever he was initially supposed to be here. Had to do it. Had to say it. Had to say it. Well, you were telling me he was saying that when he flipped, had I don't remember what red dot.
I think it was a Trijicon MRO.
Okay, but he magnified it and it looked like a line instead of a dot. That's one thing you got to think about whenever you're putting a magnifier behind the dot. It's not the magnifier's fault that your dot looks like a line.
Right.
It's the way the dot's made.
Right.
So a little bit of planning and research going in on that side of things is important if you're investing in this sort of setup, and talking to people that have used it, doing some Google research or whatever, and then finally landing on what you decide, seeing if it works for you, is of utmost important with everything, but especially your aiming system.
Right.
So. And
for references, obviously reach out to us, but then also Brass Facts and Hoplophile both have fantastic videos talking about magnifying different types of red dots. And which ones do and do not play well with magnifiers. Right. And you would be surprised how many don't play well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when they're developing, especially initially when they were developing these red dots and stuff, they were not precisely thinking about having them magnified.
Right.
They were, thinking about close in out to maybe mid-range type stuff. They weren't really thinking about the magnifiers. I think that came along later whenever the guys that were actually using them for real Minecraft stuff were like, hey, it'd be really cool if I could see about 3 times better.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, just, do your research, talk to your people, reach out to people in the industry and see what they say. Ultimately, what works best for you and what you train on is going to be the best thing.
Right.
So.
Right. Because maybe you've got a throw lever on an LPVO.
Yeah.
And that's your speed and you're fast with it. Then cool, good for you. Maybe you just want to run a regular old iron sight. Yeah. And good for you there too.
It's fine.
But go out, train, hit the range.
Do it.
Pound sand.
Pound some sand.
Touch grass.
Bust your ass.
Yeah, bust ass.
That was earlier.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we do not have video footage of that because that was amazing.
That's my other tip. Always video what you do.
That's right. Because every once in a while there's a golden nugget that you miss.
You missed it. So.
And so also with these, it can be as expensive or as cheap as you want it to be. Because,
yeah.
you know, we talked about primary arms. You can save a lot of money getting a primary arms flipped to side. And then, you know, obviously, depending on what kind of red dot you put it behind, determines how much you're going to spend as well. Because this is, you know, your magnifier just by itself is not going to get you very far.
Yeah, nah.
You've got to have a red dot to magnify.
Yeah, if you're starting out and building your system, yeah, don't go with a magnifier first.
Right. Right.
Shouldn't have to be said, but sometimes it needs to be.
You never know. But yeah, I know like the primary arms, their regular series, I think it's the SLX.
Yeah.
Goes for what, like?
It's
sub 100. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like way less. Yeah.
It's like 50.
Something like that. I want to say 50, but it may. I mean, less than 100 for sure.
Yeah.
So.
But then you can go as far as EOTech and get whatever the G35, G36, whatever. Once again, Laz needs to be here.
Yeah, we need Laz for the Gucci stuff.
And you're going to be dropping $500-$600 on a 3-power.
Yeah, which is
said what I said.
Yeah.
But if that's important to you, then knock yourself out. So yeah, that's pretty much it though.
Yeah.
I mean, go back and watch the red dot video for more because I feel like we cover a lot of the information that's pertinent to the red dots in that one.
Right. Yeah, right now, putting the magnifier behind it, I mean, key aspects, increase your range, you know, make your weapon more versatile, and in some cases more fun to shoot. So
for sure.
And it looks cooler to have a red dot behind. Have a magnifier behind the red dot. I mean, you're like, yeah, I look like I could have been in the G-Wide, even though it wasn't.
Right. Right. Once again, the wannabe.
The wannabe. Yep. Here we are.
So, but yeah, that's it, man. I mean, that's pretty much the red dot with a magnifier in a nutshell.
All right. Well, next week we'll be talking about LPVOs, so be sure to tune in for that. And thank you for tuning in this week. Hit the like and subscribe button. Let them know that the 2A boys are out here and we are awesome and having fun. So until then, take it easy.
See you guys next week.